Hey, this is Liam, your narrator. Just want to say a very quick thank you to all of you listening, watching, commenting, liking, subscribing, sharing, and all of that good stuff. It really helps out the channel and is much appreciated and very encouraging for me. So with all that said, let's get into the story. Seems like the perfect time to start a diary. I spend all of my daylight hours scared and alone in this musty old cellar. It's woeful, and I bet it smelled this bad even before everything around here turned to crap. Great. My second sentence, and I've already resorted to swearing. When I decided to start this diary, 5 minutes ago, when I got a tiny sliver of signal, I thought it would be my poetic and deeply moving goodbye to the world. Maybe I'd write about love and loss, or maybe the splendour of nature. Then, when all this is done and dusted, I'd have left something to be remembered by. As well as my corpse, of course. This was a bad idea. Okay, I'm an idiot. There's nothing else I can do down here. I've rooted through every cardboard box 100 times, organised and reorganised my supplies. I've even built a fort. So I'm back. Hello. Again. God, this diary is going badly. But there's just enough light coming through the boards I nailed over the cellar's tiny window to type by. So I may as well type. Stops me staring up at the window, just waiting for a shadow to pass by. Maybe I'll just write and not hit submit. Right. Where to start? Well, my name is... Actually, I think I'm gonna refer to myself as X. That sounds mysterious. If you're reading this and want to know my real name, I still carry my purse. My rail card's in there, and if you really want to know who I am, go find me and fish it out. I won't buy it. So, my name is X. I live in a little English village in the middle of nowhere. Before all this happened, I had a mum, a dad, a sister, and there was a boy I liked. His name was Jonah. I couldn't think of anything else to write, so I waited until I came back from my rounds. That's the stupid name I have for when I go outside at night, scrounging for stuff. Drinks are the hardest. I only trust bottles or cans, or did, and I was running out of places to search for them. But I guess that doesn't matter now. My leg is doing alright actually. Didn't hold me up at all. I saw Jonah too. He's looked better, I have to say. It's strange because this is only the second time I've seen him since we came here. Maybe his ears were burning. Anyway, I found some tin pineapple in a creepy old caravan I hadn't searched yet. Had to bust the door open with old Trusty, which I thought might attract some unwanted attention, but it was fine. I'm actually eating the pineapple right now. It tastes good. I also found a radio in there. I already have 3 down here, but none of them work. Not that the caravan radio works either. All you get is static. It's nice just to collect something. You know, have a little hobby. I can tell the sun's rising. I managed to sleep for a couple of hours, but I woke up after a bad dream. I know some people can remember their dreams, but I never do. I wake up and grasp at them, but I never manage a hold before they fade away. It's like trying to pinch the corner of a wisp of smoke. The harder you try, the quicker it fades to nothing. I'm just left with a sensation, a kind of imprint which sums up the most intense part of the dream. And a cold sweat. That's new. I've been through the box of photo albums I found at the back of the cellar again. I've looked through them a few times now, but always noticed something new. There's a photo of this little girl playing with a pretend guitar. I can tell it's pretend because it doesn't have any strings, only brightly coloured plastic dials. Kind of like My First Guitar Hero or something. The girl has dark hair and she looks a tiny bit like my sister did a million years ago. I don't have a picture of my sister. I suppose I could go and get one from my old house, but it's right in the middle of the village. I'm lucky I wasn't torn to shreds the last time I went back. So what I've done is put this girl's photo in my back pocket as a substitute. I guess I should probably write something about my real sister now, but I don't think that's a good idea just yet. Daylight is starting to fade away and I'm getting ready to go out on my rounds. I always take my satchel with me, packed with useful objects. I have old trusty, a crowbar, which sticks out at the top for easy access, a small toolbox, a pair of heavy duty gloves. There's a good story about how I got those. I might write one down later. And a hammer. I carry a penknife I found here in my pocket, my purse, and my phone. Oh, well, and a torch in my hand. I don't like to use the torch because its battery is running out and there's always the chance it might attract them. I probably shouldn't have used it last night when I got back. Maybe I'm starting to enjoy writing this malarkey. I do need to be careful with luxuries. Okay, that could have gone better. Picture the scene. I'm using old trusty to try and lever a kitchen window open when one of them just walks right through the garden hedge. Seriously, straight through it. It's not the mightiest of hedges, but still. It just appeared like it was walking through one of those Japanese paper walls. My satchel was on the ground, but I legged it anyway. I'm not stupid. I know I can go back for it tomorrow. I felt strangely naked without it on the way back here though. Like I said before, I need to be careful with the torch, so I think I'll try and get some sleep now. I slept pretty well last night. No nightmares or cold sweats. Maybe a midnight chase was just what I needed to blow out the cobwebs. I woke up actually wondering about you. If you're reading this, who are you? If you're like me, living through this village nightmare, how have you managed to go this long without being killed or whatever? Maybe you're army or some such. Maybe you're just some kid who's played so many video games that surviving all of this was already like second nature to you. Or maybe you're like me, living on borrowed time and searching for a good place to die. Maybe future me was brave enough to tap submit on my diary, and you're currently reading this on your phone or computer. Here's an idea. Maybe you can carry on this diary from wherever I left it at. I really hope this isn't my last entry, although I suppose any entry might be. If you do carry the diary forwards, and I'm a corpse, maybe it will become cursed. Spooky. I've been preparing for my next excursion. If I know I'm going somewhere I'll likely run into an ugly, I like to take extra precautions. And I want my satchel back. It was a present from my dad. And I know it cost him a lot of money. So, I'm taking a pair of shears from the shelf of old tools down here. That way, if I lose old trusty, I'll have a backup weapon. If you are local, I wonder how you like to kill them. Pretty morbid question, I know, but everyone around here seems to have their preferred method. The last villager I saw alive carried a pair of mini cricket bats and seemed to have bludgeoning down to an art form. He never saw me though. I was watching from a grove of trees as he killed his way along the main road near the village. That was before I decided to stay inside during the daylight hours. We can at least see a little bit at night. Ambient light and everything. They can't though. I've seen them. They bump into things. It's pretty funny to be honest. If they hear a noise, they walk in the direction of the sound, never trying to avoid any objects in their path. They either bash said object out of the way or, like that hedge, blunder right through it. Obviously, bigger things stop them dead though. Ha! Get it? Dead? If that happens, they sort of shuffle backwards and then try again a few times. Eventually, and I've seen this too, they just give up and stand there, waiting for something else to attract their attention. That's not how it works in the daytime though. I think it's about an hour before the sun sets, so it's nearly time to head out. I'm going to change my bandage. 1 minute. Okay, it didn't look that bad really. The original scratch wasn't too deep, and now the wound seems to be doing that scabbing thing I remember from normal injuries. It just doesn't smell very good. A bit like when you walk past a bin that needs emptying. Anyway, I've applied more antiseptic and redressed it. Time to go. That was fun. I'm glad I had those shears with me. I got my satchel back, you'll be happy to know. And I got inside that house I'd been trying to break into as well. More through necessity than choice in the end, but I'm pleased I did. I found more batteries too. That means I can justify writing at night a bit more. In fact, the people who used to live there, I think the husband owned a local garage or something, were pretty well kitted out. There were a lot of tins in their cupboards and they even left a shotgun. It wasn't loaded though. Not that I need a shotgun. I mean, I didn't tell you this before, but I have my grandpa's old service revolver. He always told me and my sister that it was decommissioned, but my dad apparently knew otherwise. I kept it tucked in the back of my jeans at all times. It had 3 bullets. One of them's gone, so only 2 left. I'll only be needing the one, of course. Morning. I'm feeling pretty low today. I think concentrating on getting my satchel back took my mind off things, but now I feel pretty deflated. Surely that's understandable. The village I knew and loved has been replaced with this sodden hell. I miss my family, my friends, TV, and hot dinners and Instagram. Before all of this, I was a pretty positive person. Sure, I had a bit of trouble getting up in the morning, but once I was up, that was it. I'd meet the day's challenges head on, try to enjoy myself as much as I could. Not today though. Maybe if I write about Jonah, I'll cheer up. Not Jonah as he is now, of course. Jonah when he was all smooth-skinned, curly-haired and bright-eyed. Now he's like the anti-Jonah or something. His face looks like it lost a fight with an angry lobster. Nah, wait. I'm supposed to be writing about Jonah version 1 here. He's one of those people that I can't remember meeting. My family has always lived around here, and so there are lots of people who have just always been, if you get me. I've always thought that we'd drunkenly get together at a party. That's what I'd usually do if there was a boy I liked. Classy, huh? I've perked up a bit. Out of sheer frustration, I went upstairs. Naughty, I know. And looked out the window. Sure, I saw an ugly, wandering aimlessly as they always do. But I saw that the trees are starting to turn too. That means it's nearly autumn, and I love autumn. My sister and I always used to go out and kick leaves at each other in autumn. I don't know if it was because of her low centre of gravity, but my sister was amazing at it. She could somehow whip up a blazing whirlwind of golden yellow and fire red, surrounding us both in a leaf storm that I couldn't help but flail my arms madly at. Then we'd both fall backwards into the leaves laughing, me wondering how on earth what had happened was possible. She was that good. I let her down in the end. think I'll stay away from the house with the shotgun tonight. It usually takes a day or two for a group of uglies to disperse once they're all riled up. I could use the rest of that tinned food, I suppose, but I've got plenty to be getting on with for now. Instead, I think I'll swing by another farmhouse I was scoping out before I decided to turn nocturnal. I never met the people who used to live there, but I remember Mum telling me they like their privacy. I'm sure they wouldn't mind me visiting now though. Also, there's woodland between here and there, and I might be able to find some leaves to kick about a bit. I think that would make me feel close to my sister again. I'll check back in later. I'm still alive, but only just. I made it through the woods just fine. Only the odd leaf on the forest floor at the moment though, sadly. The trouble started at the farmhouse though. I couldn't get in. The doors and windows were barricaded. So I tried one of the outbuildings. Locked. It had a cat flap though. My first instinct was to leave it, but then I wondered if there might be something useful inside. Lord knows what thinking about it now. I lifted the cat flap with one hand and shone the torch beam through with my other. That's when an ugly dived at my pinkies. Luckily, it misjudged its leap and got a mouthful of plastic cat flap instead. As for me, I fell backwards onto my bum. Next, the damn thing started bashing on the door from the inside. I don't think it could ever have got out, but the noise attracted more uglies from out of nowhere. I only just managed to outmaneuver them and hightail it back into the woods. That's not the worst of it though. On the way back, my leg started to hurt. A lot. I woke up this morning and I'm walking with a limp. It's funny, Dad had a limp when he and Mum died. He was nailing planks of wood across our windows and doors because there was no signal, as per bloody usual, and we thought that what was happening here was probably happening everywhere. It's only recently that I realised this was an isolated local outbreak. Anyway, Dad dropped the hammer on his toe. He was always useless at DIY. I think it was only a couple of hours after that when he and Mum were taken. It was like a wave of death. No, not like. That's exactly what it was. A horde of uglies swept through the village, probably originating from some secret research facility in the woods we're not supposed to know about. My sister and I wouldn't have had a prayer if Mum and Dad hadn't charged down the first few that got into our house. They gave us just enough time to escape, to run away and leave them to die. My sister was screaming all the way and I had to drag her like she was 4 again. She wouldn't speak to me for a few days after that. I didn't blame her. I hated myself too. But I would have hated myself even more if I hadn't have done what I did next. On my own, I snuck back into our house with the crowbar I found here. Then I dispatched my parents. I can't bring myself to type it in any other way. It wasn't like in the movies. I didn't pound their skulls into mush while sobbing, "Why?" over and over again. I just found them, or what was left of them, forced the crowbar through each of their eye sockets and came straight back here. Then came the crying. I haven't told you about the heavy duty gloves yet, have I? After I got back from our old house, my sister started speaking to me again. A shared day-long cry will do that for sisters. Once we felt up to it, we decided to explore the parts of the farmhouse we hadn't searched yet. All the bedrooms were empty, only a few belongings flung about the place. I suspect the previous tenants left in a hurry. The problem came when we investigated the attic. Once we'd opened the ceiling panel in the upstairs hallway, once we'd pulled the compact staircase down, I went up. My sister stood at the top of the hatchway shining the torch beam over my shoulder. And that's when it touched me. Terrified, I fell to my left, screaming as the thing came crashing down on top of me. I was yelling things like, "Shoot it!" and "Run!" but my sister was laughing her head off. I soon realised that my attacker was in fact a shop window mannequin. I think the people who previously lived here must have been arty or into some seriously freaky stuff, because the mannequin was dressed in scarves, bandanas, ties, watches, loads of things. The rest of the attic was pretty empty, but at least we got the mannequin's gloves. I'm not feeling good at the moment. I've got a sore throat and I've coughed up blood a few times. My leg pain is getting worse too. I don't think I'll go out tonight. I have enough tins left and one of them is a full English in a can. Sounds pretty disgusting, but intriguing at the same time. I've been saving it for near the end, a sort of consolation prize. There are 2 mattresses down here. Obviously one is mine and the other one was my sister's. After she died, I couldn't bring myself to get rid of it. I don't have a photo of her, only Guitar Girl's. Her bed is the only thing of hers I have left, and she didn't even sleep in it that many times. The tinned full English was vile. You've got to laugh though. What else can you do? I'm crying as I write this. Tears of sorrow, shame and regret. It happened as we were searching a cottage just off the main road. We'd use old Trusty to get inside and I'd rush straight into the kitchen to find the food. We'd run out more than a day before and I was famished. My sister followed me into the kitchen, a wide grin on her pretty little face because I was sitting there with an open can of beans. Then one of them came at her from behind. I must have walked right past it on my stupid way to the cupboards. It bit into her neck and blood gushed over the tiles in a torrent. As she yelled out in agony, I leapt up and implanted the crowbar right into the thing's skull. It crumpled to the floor, but the damage was done. Don't let me lose myself. That was the last thing my sister whispered to me before she passed out. Her wound was much more severe than mine is, and much closer to the brain. That seems to make it quicker. I took Grandpa's revolver from behind my back and blew her brains out. I buried her in the back garden. After my sister died, I went kind of crazy. I took old Trusty out across the fields and pulverized every ugly I could find. I don't even remember it that well. It was just find, kill, find, kill. We'd only been going out in the daylight before then, but in my anger, I'd carried on through the nights. That's how I learned about their inability to evade in darkness. Eventually though, one got me. I found 3 munching on a dead cow and ran straight at them. Took out the first 2 easily enough, but the third managed to scratch my leg with a bloody fingernail just before I clobbered it into oblivion. Once I realised its nail had broken the skin, it was like a switch had been flicked inside of me. That's it. I'm dead too. I lost my bloodlust and came back here. If none of this happened, I think my sister would have eventually gone into medicine. I was doing okay at college, but she was the top of her class at school. And she had a really kind nature too. She'd never squish any bugs that got trapped in our house. She'd get a glass, scoop the little critter up and seal it inside with a book. Then she'd take it outside and release it, even if it was a wasp. I've decided that here's not the place. I'll hit submit and then I'm gonna do it in those woods I wrote about. Consider this diary as my note. I'll be able to find a nice spot to sit and look at the trees, some place that's calm and peaceful. I'm gonna leave the picture of the guitar girl in this cellar. She belongs in this house. The tree leaves will remind me of my sister more than any photo could anyway. I guess all that's left to say is thank you for listening. I know it's possible that no one will ever read this, but that's not really the point, is it? Love, X. Hey, it's Liam again. This is a little Easter egg for all of you who have stayed right up until the end. Big thank you to all of you. And I look forward to sharing more stories with you very soon in the next video. Take care.